He said, this person had said, if you have a problem with me drafting you, then you need to just drop me. And that's all I had in my head with this person trying to draft me. And I laid the hammer down. Hey, everybody. Kenny E here, Black Iron Tri. And it is good to be back. Good to be back on screen here doing a full video for you. Today we're going to do a quick recap of IRONMAN 70.3 Gulf Coast. And if we have time, IRONMAN 70.3 Chattanooga. So let's kick it off with Gulf Coast. Everybody, this is one of my favorite races. I've done it many times. I want to say, I was just looking at it, I think I did it at least 2 years in a row recently, 24 and 25. I'm sorry, 25 and 26, and I am registered to do it in 2027. I have DNS'd this race where I went to the race to watch friends, but I didn't feel like I was in good enough shape to actually race. And then I got a deferment because I had COVID 1 year, not long before the race, and was advised to stop training. So if anybody remembers COVID, one of the things they used to do is say, you shouldn't be out there training and taxing your cardiovascular system. And so I went down there to watch some friends race, but I did not race. But it wasn't a DNF or DNS because they let me defer due to COVID. But I just love it. My partner in crime loves going down this race because of the beach. It has wonderful beaches. And one of the big reasons I like going is because you can drive. And when you drive to a race, you can really pack in the gear. And this time, we took more than just gear for my race, which, by the way, I was racing just me, no friends racing with me this time. But my partner in crime was there, and we took her bike. So we actually, my shakeout ride was actually with my partner in crime. And that was fun, I have to say, having her out there riding with me. It's not the first time we've ridden together down in Panama City Beach, but certainly since she has started clipping in and doing longer distances, that was fantastic. So we got down there on Wednesday before the race. The race, I believe, was on the 9th. So this would have been the 7th, or I'm sorry, 6th, 7th, or something like that. We rode on the 7th. And then another great thing about this race was that friends of mine came down from Columbus, Ohio. And they've only been to one other race of mine. They came down to my full in Panama City Beach at the Ironman Florida back in 2022. So Mark and his wife Elaine came down, another Mark in my life, and we all had a fabulous time. We did get to our normal pasta place. There's a pasta restaurant we go to every time we go down there to carb up, if you would, for the race. Got to visit that. But one of the things we're keeping an eye on, when you race Panama City Beach in May, the water, you're swimming in the Gulf, we'll call it the Gulf. We're swimming in the Gulf, and the water can be 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever you want to call it in terms of safe to swim. So one of the first things we look at is what are the flags doing? And there's a color system, for those who don't know, there's a color system on open water, especially when you're dealing with ocean water, that gives you an indication of how safe the water is. And it ranges everywhere from green to yellow to red, and then there's a double red, which is what we experienced a couple of years ago down there, where you're not allowed in the water by law. You can't go into the water for swimming activities and such. So the flag was red when we got there. Now this does not mean you can't go in the water. It just means it's probably not the safest in the world. Undertows, things like that. And that flag stayed red for the entire time we were there. There were people getting in the water. It wasn't illegal to get in the water. So it was really going to be interesting to see what they did on race morning. So most of the rest of the weekend was kind of normal, just hanging out, doing check-in. I don't have a lot of footage of that, but the morning of, it was really lonely. When you're racing by yourself and the people you're staying with aren't racing, they get to stay in bed a little longer while I get up and get myself together. So it was lonelier than I'm used to. Normally I'm staying with my buddy Mark Donahue, and we're getting ready together. So getting up, getting our bottles and things that we put together the night before, getting ready for the race, packing up our bags and stuff, making sure we're all set, getting some food inside of us. So I did all of this stuff solo, while my partner in crime and our friends who stayed in the same condo with us were still sleeping. But they were up in plenty of time for us to walk down to transition for me to get ready to race. So all this time, I'm still waiting to see what they're going to do about the water. And as I'm in transition, setting up my station, they start announcing plans to change the swim. And initially, it was well. First of all, it was a wetsuit legal, so it was just barely under the limit, but wetsuit legal, which people tend to like because you get that extra buoyancy with the suit, a little extra safety feeling. But we were seeing what they were going to do with the distance. And before we left transition to go to the water side, they had announced they were cutting the swim back from 1.2 miles to, I think they were saying something like 1,200 meters, which is maybe half of a 1.2 mile swim. By the time we were on the sand, that had dropped to 1,000 meters. And that's what we went into the water in. So I actually swam in a race under a red flag, which I never thought I'd do. The water was rough. And instead of the normal swim out and back that we do for this, the swim was a half a rectangle, whatever you want to call it, out about 100 meters across and then back in. And it wasn't 1,000 meters. My watch read somewhere in the 600, 700 range, and I was hearing that from other folks. I was in and out of the water in 15 minutes. So I know it wasn't that long because I'm a slow swimmer. But the swim handled it, you know, the waves and everything. No jellyfish this year. And got out of the water and was ready to hit the bike. The weather up to this point was pristine. I mean, when we first got to the water, the weather was looking great. There hadn't been a lot of talk of what it could do that day. At least I hadn't looked into that. But it did come into play. So when we got on the bike, I had a really great bike ride. The bikes were in great shape. The bike was in great shape. All right, we are locked and loaded on Friday, bike rack day. I'm next to another QR, which has a sweet paint job as well. Number 821, I got to meet them. Anyway, 822 is racked and ready to rock and roll. Hats off and shout out to Ansley Cycling here in Atlanta. Atlanta Cycling, I'm sorry, in Ansley, in Atlanta. They did a fantastic job of getting that bike ready. I was on my my tri-bike, and it was in great shape. The ride was going really smoothly. I had one complaint. I had somebody sneak up behind me to draft me. Now, really quick, drafting generally in these races, and Ironman branded races especially, is not allowed. It's illegal. And you can get penalized and DQ'd for doing it. But I wasn't paying attention. I just riding my ride, and I turned around to check and see if anybody was behind me, but more in the sense of, you know, could I move over or whatever? And I see somebody shift right on my wheel. I said, oh my gosh, this person is drafting me. And so based on some stuff I'd heard online, the people who draft and draft illegally, they know they're cheating, they don't care, and they get cocky about it. There was a guy online who was bragging that, well, if I'm drafting you, this is just like a regular ride. Somebody comes and drafts you. There's nothing really wrong with that as long as you take your turn to let them draft you. But a lot of these people don't do that. They're like, I'm gonna draft, I'm gonna, you know, and then I'll brag about how fast I was going during the race or during the ride. He said, this person had said, if you have a problem with me drafting you, then you need to just drop me. And that's all I had in my head with this person trying to draft me. And I laid the hammer down. Paid for it later, but I laid the hammer down. I was probably doing 26, 27 miles per hour for about half a mile or 3/4. I'd left them, didn't see them again. But burning those matches at that point in the race probably cost me some time later on. So you know, I got over that, was on the ride. There was another point in the ride that was a little sticky. There's this point where you go through the small park, and it's not really good for fast riding. They actually lay down this like plastic sidewalk, and it had started to mist a little bit in terms of weather, and the thing was wet and slippery. And I had a person in front of me who was terrified. She said she had wiped out there before. She was actually talking during the ride, that she had wiped out and she was scared. And I was not pressing her. I'm like, hey, look, stay safe. It's not that long. It's less than a quarter mile probably, but it does slow things down. And I had a line of people behind me. Now I could have gone faster, but the person in front of me, you're not allowed to pass on this particular section of the ride. So I was behind this person, but I was much more concerned that she felt safe and not wipe out and potentially take out 2 or 3 or 4 other people. So we got beyond that point, told her good luck, and took off, and everybody behind me took off too, either pass me or whatever. But that's when you hit the last like 10 miles of this ride, 10 or 12 miles of this ride, which is down one road, but you're sharing traffic. You are sharing real car traffic on this road, which makes things a little bit more interesting in terms of how much space you have to pass folks. And it's windy. Every time I've done this race, that part of the race has wind. So the speed drops off, and people monitoring you on the app, they're like, this dude's been doing 20 miles per hour for the whole race. Now he's doing like 14, 15. What happened? Wind happened. I still have plenty of power. I still felt great. It wasn't until I dismounted that my legs locked up like I stole something. That's why I paid for those matches I burned to lose that drafter. So anyway, I saw a video. My partner in crime and friends took video of me getting off the bike, and the way it looked, it didn't look like I was in any kind of discomfort or pain. I was dying. But I had learned enough from previous races that all I have to do is start the run and it'll work itself out. And sure enough, I got to my space on the rack, racked the bike, changed into my running shoes and bib and hat, and quick walked out of transition onto the run. And within a mile, I'd worked that stuff out. Still hurt like crazy. I was not the fastest I could have been just because of the pain, but the cramps were taken care of. And then about, I don't know, halfway through the run, the sky opened up like madness, just pouring rain. All of the fans disappeared. I felt that the pros were lucky. They did not have to deal with this. They had been done with the race before it started raining like that. But you know, running in rain, training in rain doesn't bother me. But it is more difficult, especially when some of the parts of the run are across dirt, because that dirt becomes mud and puddles form. And really the biggest drawback for me in running in rain is your shoes get waterlogged and become 2 pounds heavier. And trying to run with that is not pleasant. But hey, you can't go running around calling yourself an Ironman if you can't run in the rain, if you can't train in rain, if you can't race in the rain. So we made it happen, got through the run, walked up that last hill. All these races tend to end on an uphill, and finished the race in plenty of time. Wasn't really looking to PR this thing since the swim got cut short. I was initially, if we had had a full swim, but with the shortened swim, it's kind of bittersweet. I was happy with the performance, happy with the day overall. By the time I crossed the finish line, the rain was gone. So enjoyed the time there. Good race, friends were there. If there was one thing it had nothing to do with the day or the race or the friends being there. Later on, I saw a video of me that they captured of me running, and I didn't realize just how fat I am. I was at that race. I felt great. My cardio was intact. My muscles were intact. I had no problem with nutrition or anything like that. Everything felt good. I didn't wear booties this time on my ride. Everything went well as could go on a race like that. But I saw a video of me running, and I'm like, man, I have got some work to do. So I'm on that job as we speak. So overall, great day. Again, no complaints about IRONMAN 70.3, Panama City Beach, Gulf Coast. they gave out flags. So this flag you see behind me, they gave out flag, and I love it. They gave one. They're starting to get these out at the halves, I think. I don't know if they're doing it at the fulls. They normally give a more of a nylon-y type flag. This is more of a like a chamois or whatever. And later, I actually wrote them and said, hey, did you forget to give me my hat? Because I was wearing this hat at the race. I think this is my Gulf Coast hat. And I was like, did they think I already had my hat because I was wearing it? And it turns out they didn't give out hats. So, you know, I was happy with the towel or whatever you want to call it. So no complaints there. But I thought I missed out on my hat. Turns out there were no hats to be had. So anyway, overall great day. Friends were in the house. Really appreciate Mark and Lane, you guys coming down. And I always enjoy your company, but when you guys come to my race, it really makes me feel good. Gives me something to kind of work for. And I'm sorry I was so visibly out of shape in terms of my shape. I'm working on that. Anyway, stay tuned for IRONMAN 70.3 Chattanooga. Watch it at your leisure. I'll get it up on YouTube as quickly as possible. In the meantime, this is Kenny E signing off for Black Iron Tribe. Remember, you don't have to be fastest, just be fearless.
No, I ain't giving you